Hello, everyone, and welcome to this editor webinar. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carol, and I'm part of the Learning and Content Management team. I'll be hosting the session today, and joining me are my colleagues Charlotte and Anita. If you have a question at any time, please use the Q&A option to send your question directly to us. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible today directly in the Q&A field. Please note that we cannot answer any journal-specific questions. For the best view, you may wish to drag the central bar on your screen to the right to enlarge the screen that I'm sharing. Our session is being recorded, and you'll be sent a link when the recording is ready. Our topic today is manuscript analysis services in Editorial Manager, and I hope that in the next 30 minutes or so, we can enhance your understanding of this topic. Okay, let's take a look at our agenda for today. Okay, we'll start today by showing you how we navigate from Editorial Manager to the Manuscript Analysis Services link. Next, we'll look at the tools currently available as part of the service, including Scope Match and the Article Transfer Service list. We'll look at future developments for Scope Match, and we'll also take a look at some existing tools in Editorial Manager that you may already be using. And finally, we'll finish with some questions. And remember, you can ask questions at any time in the Q&A field as we go, and we'll answer them during the session or at the end. Okay, so to access the Manuscript Analysis Services link from Editorial Manager from any folder, click on the link in the Action menu on the left of the screen. This will open a new window showing the Evaluate Manuscript report. Click on Go to Report. Apologies. Click on Go to Report to open the Scope Match report on screen. You will now see the Scope Match report on the screen. Scope Match determines the manuscript topic suitability for your journal. This feature compares the topic similarity of the submitted manuscript with published papers, both in your journal and in other journals. The topic is derived from the title and abstract of the papers. It does not include keywords, as this diminishes the quality of the match algorithm. A Scope Match score is displayed on the top right of the screen, and this is an estimated match between the topic of the manuscript and the topic of this journal over the past 3 years. On the left side of the report, the 5 closest manuscripts published in your journal are displayed. On the right, the 5 closest manuscripts published on Scopus are displayed. And both lists contain information on the title, the author list, the year of publication, and Plum X metrics, which we will cover in some more detail now. So from the list of similar papers, hovering over the Plum X icon next to an article will display summary details of the number of citations of this article and the number of mentions on social media. Clicking the Plum X icon, clicking the Plum X icon opens a new tab displaying data on this article's citations, captures, and social media mentions, including information like tweets and Facebook likes, as well as a description of the article and bibliographic details. A question that you might ask is, how does Scope Match differ from Authenticate? Authenticate compares exact text similarity of the submitted manuscript with published papers in order to detect potential plagiarism, whereas Scope Match looks at the content and topic of the paper and not exact wording matches. There are many benefits to scope match. It can save you time as editor in evaluating the topic match of a manuscript to your journal. It highlights the publication of similar articles in your journal and in other journals. And it gives a numerical score for the match of a manuscript to your journal, which makes it easy for comparison and evaluation. There are also a number of future developments planned for the Scope Match tool, including a duplicate detection service as part of the report, an indicator of the topic trend in the field, as well as on a journal level, and author originality, where an author's previous work submitted to other publications is also compared. Okay, so just moving on, a second part of the report available is the ATS or Article Transfer Service list. This is available for journals that are already part of an article transfer service and are feeder journals. That is, journals that are transferring papers to other journals as part of an ATS relationship. So from the same location in Editorial Manager, click on Manuscript Analysis Services, and then the same Go to Report link. And then scroll down past the Scope Match report to see the ATS information. In this section of the report, you will see the same list of ATS journals already set up for your journal in Editorial Manager, but with additional information to give you a better understanding of the journals and to more easily assess transfer suitability. On the left of the screen, you will see the list of ATS journals. Each journal has a set of metrics. Firstly, the topic score, the topic scope match score, which, as we've just shown, gives a percentage match of this manuscript topic to the publication you're potentially transferring it to, and the trend line of that topic within the journal. This allows you to assess if this is an ongoing good match or not. You'll also see quality metrics for each journal displayed. The site score, which is an annual value that measures the publication impact of a title, and the impact factor, a measure of the citation frequency. Clicking on each journal displays the metrics information in the central screen, including the aims and scope of the journal. Click on View All Metrics to see the journal speed metrics, the time to decisions, accepted for publication rate, and the transfer metrics, transfer accept rate, and send to peer review rate and acceptance rate for transferred manuscripts. The ATS list offers editors many benefits, including more support with transferring submissions by giving you more information about the suitability of other journals, helping editors better inform the authors of the benefits of the transfer, giving additional information to the existing ATS journal list, and saving time assessing the suitability of ATS journals for transfer suggestions, and also helping editors and by association authors gain better understanding of ATS journals. Okay, so now we're going to just take a look at some tools that are already available in Editorial Manager that you may already be using and have used for a number of years. The Similarity check, also known as the Authenticate report, and also the Duplicate submission check. These are tools which complement the tools already that we've just discussed available via the Manuscript Analysis Services link. And they provide an additional layer of information for you when you're dealing with new submissions. They're also located in the action menu. Okay, so first we'll just take a look at the Similarity check. This is also known interchangeably as Authenticate or as cross-check. and it's an automatic plagiarism check that's done on all new submissions to a journal. Authenticate is originality detection software, which identifies text similarities which may potentially indicate plagiarism in a manuscript. And it does this by comparing a manuscript, a submitted manuscript, with a web repository and database, which contains more than 50 million published articles. The result is an interactive similarity report, which highlights areas of similar text content and calculates a similarity index. The report can be accessed directly from the action menu that we just saw, but also from the file inventory or via the details screen, both of which can be accessed from the action menu. If you find that the report is not automatically available or generated for a new submission, or if you experience any problems when trying to open it, please do contact your journal manager and they can arrange for it to be reinitiated if needed. We're often asked, and I know journal managers are often asked as well, what the cutoff percentage is for the similarity index. However, this does depend on many factors, and interpreting the report does require an expert knowledge of the subject area, so is really a task for editors. But if you view the report and it raises any concerns for you, or if you do suspect potential plagiarism with the manuscript, please do raise this with the editor-in-chief or managing editor for your journal, and also the publisher as well, and you can discuss in some more detail. Okay, the next feature, which you again may already be familiar with, is the duplicate submission check. So there can sometimes be confusion between this and the similarity check we just looked at. So the duplicate submission check is another very useful tool for editors when evaluating a submission. The tool compares the title, abstract, and author list of a new submission against all previously submitted manuscripts in your journal. And it then lists up to 10 potential duplicate submissions. So in contrast to the Authenticate report that we just looked at, this is not a comparison to published articles, but rather just to those previously submitted to this particular journal. This report can also be accessed from the details screen and the file inventory screen. And depending on the folder that you're in, you'll also find it directly from the action column as well. A duplicate score percentage is shown for each submission next to the link to the report. And this percentage will display in red if it's over the threshold that's been set up for your journal. Clicking on the link will display the report, which includes a list of similar submissions based on a comparison of the title, author list, and abstract. And as an editor, you can then view the details or the PDFs of these potential duplicate submissions and see the status of each one in order to decide if you need to take any action on this. The duplicate submission check report should be available within a few minutes of the author approving their submission to the journal, but please do contact your journal manager if the report is not available for whatever reason. We also wanted to share with you a few future developments that will be coming soon. A feature called Analyse Manuscript References will replace the existing reference checking results report, which is currently found on the manuscript details page. Analyse Manuscript References is designed to reduce the time editors spend evaluating a manuscript's references. And the improved service will enable users and editors to filter reference checking results by year, by author, and by publication. You should be able to quickly identify retracted articles and also view article PDFs whenever they're available. And we expect this tool to roll out to journals in the first half of 2023. Okay, so to summarize today's session, we've shown you where to access the Manuscript Analysis Services tool in EM. And from there, we have shown you the scope match report and the ATS list, so those two new features. We've highlighted some further developments that are planned for this tool, and we've also looked at the similarity check and the duplicate submission check. We hope this information was helpful to you, and that you'll be able to make full use of these tools as you undertake your editor roles. And we're now going to take a look at some questions that have been raised. So thank you for any of those questions that you've raised today. And I'm now going to hand over to Charlotte, who will share some of those most frequently asked questions and their answers as well. So over to you, Charlotte.
Great, thanks, Carol. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the questions that you've raised today. So there's certainly a theme, and I think it would be good at this point just to recap on basically access and availability of the tools that we've talked about today. So for all journals, the Manuscript Analysis Services link should be in your action menu. We did have a flag today that perhaps for some society journals, they may have opted out. So it may not be there if your journal has opted out or it's a society title, for instance. But for the majority of journals, that link should be in your action menu. And that's how you access the scope match report and the ATS list. If the link's not there, that's something that you'll need to raise with your journal manager. The similarity check or the authenticate report that we looked at, and also the duplicate submission check, again, they should already be activated for your journal in the action list next to a manuscript. And if they're not there, that's something that you would need to raise with your journal manager. And the Analyse references service, so that's the new feature that we talked about at the end, that's not activated yet for any journals, but we will start to see that rolling out to journals in the first half of 2023. So that's something to look out for, but it's not there yet. I'm going to talk a little bit about ATS list as well, but I'll just say that if you do have more questions, please continue to pop them in the Q&A field, and we're on hand to answer them now. So the ATS list that we saw today that was accessed through that Manuscript Analysis Services link, that will only be there, that information will only be there if your journal is already set up as part of an article transfer service. So it already has a relationship with other journals, and only if your journal is feeding manuscripts to another journal. So there are instances where journals may only be receiving manuscripts, in which case you wouldn't see that ATS information. It's just there for journals that are sending manuscripts on as a transfer to other journals. So that's when you'll see that information there. Okay, I hope that's clarified again what we've been saying today. I'm just going to take a look in the Q&A tab now and see if there's anything else that's just come in. Okay, there's a great question there about other webinars. Yep, we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute, and we'll send you some links. But this, if you're new to the webinar collection today, there's lots of other provisions available, and we'll happily share those links with you. Okay, we've got a question about plans to develop image similarity. So we did talk about the scope match report, some developments that are on the way there around kind of author originality and that kind of thing. So that tool is still in development. I'm not sure about image similarity, but I'm going to take that back to the development team and mention it to them as an idea. So thanks for raising that today. And kind of following on from that, is there a way to go to the, yes. So the colour of the duplicate submission, and is there a way to go to the actual paper that's been copied in the paper in the authenticate report? Okay, so I think there's a question about the authenticate report. Can you go to the actual paper where the copy appears to have been taken? And Carol, I think, yes, there is a link in the authenticate report where you can actually go.
Yes, I believe so. I'm just I'm just trying to think. Yeah. If you you may need to have like institution privileges to access if it's not an Elsevier publication, or I would need to double check that actually.
Yeah, okay.
If you can actually access the full manuscript from, if it's from another publisher or outside of, yeah, I think that might be one that we have to clarify in as well. Sorry, I should know that, but
no,
there
I
certainly
think
are links to the manuscripts, but whether or not you can view the full article or not, if you don't have the access, I'm not completely sure.
Yeah, there'll be some nuances to that, won't there? So yes, it depends on where it's been published. It depends on its publication stage. I mean, I'm guessing it will have been published by the time it gets to the Authenticate report. So it will flag it for certain, but we're not sure if you can see the actual paper. We'll check on that. So thanks for posting that question with your name. We'll come back to you directly with the answer to that. Okay, there's a few more questions coming in. So please do continue to add them in the Q&A field. Carol, I'll pass back to you just to cover the final slide, but we'll keep the Q&A open while the questions keep coming in. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Charlotte. Wonderful. So you've probably seen I've launched a second poll, so please do take a look at that. That brings us to the end of our webinar today, although as Charlotte said, we'll keep the session open while we're still receiving questions. Thank you very much for listening. So please do take a minute to complete that second poll. It's very short, it'll only take a moment. And this will, your answers will give us a lot of help in delivering future webinars going forward. After the session today, we will send you an email that will contain some helpful links, including the webinar recording via our LCM YouTube channel, and also a link to our self-help editor guide. So please do look out for that email. And thank you for joining us. We hope to see you in the future at other webinars beginning in January again.